أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the previous verses we learned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Bani Israel in particular, reminding them of the blessings that were bestowed upon them, in order to invite them to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and to the belief in who? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as the Qur'an. Why are the Bani Israel especially addressed? Because they were the previous ummah. They were the chosen people before this ummah. They were the ones whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had bestowed many favors on and had given them the responsibility to follow the guidance that Allah had sent and also to tell the rest of mankind about it. But unfortunately, they had fallen short in fulfilling it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took that responsibility, that favor away from them eventually. Now in these ayat that we will study today, more favors have been mentioned. In the previous verses, what was said? Udhkuru ni'mati. Remember my blessings. In these verses, we are going to learn about what those blessings were. What were those ni'am? What were those blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon them? But before we study them, a little bit of background is necessary. Who are the Bani Israel? They are the descendants of Yaqub alayhi salam. I told you earlier that Yaqub alayhi salam, how many sons did he have? 12 sons. And one of them was who? Yusuf alayhi salam, who was also a prophet of Allah. Yusuf alayhi salam was very special. He was very different from the rest of his brothers. And his father, as a result, had a very different kind of love and attachment with him. And his brothers felt jealous of him. They did not like him at all. Out of that jealousy, they threw him into a well to get rid of him, to get the attention of their father. What happened to Yusuf alayhi salam? He was picked up by a trade caravan. Travelers who were passing by. They picked him up, they found him, they felt, oh, how lucky we are. They took him to Egypt and they sold him there as a slave. And when he was sold as a slave, what happened? He was in the house of the minister of Egypt. It is said that he was a financial minister. Allahu A'lam who he actually was. But anyway, Yusuf a.s. was in his house as a slave. And we know about his story as to how he was sent to jail unjustly and how he remained there for so long. And eventually when the king had a dream, Yusuf a.s. is the one who interpreted it. And he also gave the king a solution as to how to save the people of Egypt and the people around Egypt from a 7-year-long famine, drought that was to strike that area. So when Yusuf a.s. gave that suggestion, the king was very impressed. And he appointed him as the one who was responsible of taking care of the food supplies of Egypt. So Yusuf a.s., he was sold as a slave in Egypt, and now he was up in the government. A very high position he had. When he had that position, what happened? Eventually, his brothers also came to Egypt to buy food from there. And we know about how they came several times, and eventually he disclosed to them as to who he was, and he called his family to Egypt to live there. Why? Because you can understand Palestine like a village. No worldly success, very backward in a way. And Egypt, on the other hand, was very successful in worldly terms. This is why he invited his family to come and stay with him. And besides, he had a very good position in Egypt. He was in Egypt, his 11 brothers and his father, as well as the rest of his relatives, they came and joined him in Egypt. So what was their original home? Palestine. How did they end up in Egypt? When Yusuf a.s. invited them. Now in Egypt, they stayed there for many, many decades. For many generations they lived there. And obviously, since they were brothers of the Prophet Yusuf a.s., so as a result, the locals had a lot of respect for the Bani Israel. But eventually, what happened to the Bani Israel? They drifted away from their religion. They just felt proud about being those on the right path. They just felt proud about being the children of the prophets. And they did not follow the teachings of the religion. And remember that when religious people become corrupt, their corruption is much more severe, is much more worse than the corruption of people who do not have knowledge, who do not have religion. So when they got corrupted, what happened? The people of Egypt, they wanted to get rid of them. They had had enough of them. And we can also understand this in another way, that when a people only take from a society, from a city, from a people, meaning they're just benefiting but they're not really giving anything in return, then the rest of the people get sick and tired of them. They become like a parasite community. just sucking the blood out of the community, taking all the benefits and not giving anything back. And this is what became of the Bani Israel in Egypt. They were very proud of being the religious people. However, they did not benefit the people. Fir'aun and his nation, what did they do? They enslaved them. They subjected them to slave labor. They were not the free people anymore. They were not respectable anymore. Nobody had any respect for them anymore. So as a result, they were enslaved. And you can compare this to our state today as Muslims. We are very proud of being on the straight path. We are very proud of being Muslim. And we say and we believe that we are the ones on the truth. But what do we give to people? We look down on the rest of humanity, but what benefit do we give to them? If we don't benefit the people around us, they're going to get sick of us. They're going to get tired of us. And they're going to take their revenge against us. In the society that we're living in today as well, in this city only, the rest of the communities, rest of the religious communities, how active are they? They have soup kitchens. They have so many different services to offer to everybody. And what do? We only serve Muslims. That is if we serve Muslims. We don't even serve our own Muslim brothers and sisters. We don't even help one another. We benefit, but we don't give back. And when a people become like this, the rest of the people take them as a burden. They don't like them anymore. The same thing happened to the Bani Israel. Then what happened? When Fir'aun and his people had enslaved them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Musa alayhi salam for their rescue as well as their guidance. To guide the Bani Israel as well as to rescue them from Fir'aun. And inshallah in the verses that we're going to study today, we're going to study about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them, how He guided them, and what was the response of the Bani Israel in return. And as we study these verses, we should continuously examine ourselves. Look at our actions, our behavior. What do we do in return to the favors of Allah that He has bestowed upon us? So let's study. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُمْ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ. And when we rescued you from the people of Fir'aun. وَإِذْ. إِذْ gives the meaning of اذْكُرُوا إِذْ. Meaning, O Bani Israel, all of you remember, recall. Recall when we bestowed this huge favor upon you. اذْكُرُوا نِعْمَتِي. What is the huge favor that we bestowed upon you? That نَجَّيْنَاكُمْ. We rescued you. We saved you. From who? From the people of Fir'aun. The word najjayna is from the root letters Noon, Jim, Waw. From the word najat. And what does najat mean? To rescue, to save someone from a trouble that they're in. From some difficulty that they're in. That they're suffering from. So, you were suffering, what? Slavery. Hardship, oppression at the hands of who? Fir'aun and his people. And we saved you. We rescued you. إِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُمْ. From who? مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ. From the people of Fir'aun. Are you familiar with the word al? What does the word al mean? Followers, family. We say this word a lot and perhaps we don't realize. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. Al applies to the family of a person, but not just the family. It also applies to the followers, the people of. For example, the Al of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who are they? Just his family? No. His companions, those who believe in him, those who follow him until today, until the end of time. So, Al of Fir'aun. Who are the Al of Fir'aun? They were the people of Fir'aun, the nation of Fir'aun. Fir'aun himself, his royal family included, as well as his armies, as well as his people. And what was their name? They're known as the Coptics, the Qibt, Qaf, Ba, Ta. Who is Fir'aun, by the way? Is this an actual name of a person? Fir'aun is the title. Title of who? Ancient Egyptian kings. The ancient Egyptians, what were they? What religion did they have? They worshipped idols. They were polytheistic people. And they believed that their king, Fir'aun, was not just their political ruler, but also their religious ruler. They considered him to be God or manifestation of God or incarnation or something like that. They believed that he had some divine attributes as well. So min ali Fir'aun, we know that Fir'aun claimed to be Lord. Ana rabbukumul a'la. This is what he said, that I am your greatest Lord. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says over here that we saved you from the people of Fir'aun. Why? Why did we save you from them? Because they tortured you. They had enslaved you. They had humiliated the Bani Israel. They would use them for slave labor, for very hard work. It is said that Fir'aun had a great desire for great architecture. So he used the Bani Israel to construct these huge buildings that were very, very difficult to construct. And if you think about it, the pyramids, and not just the pyramids, but the rest of the architecture that also exists till today, the remnants are there till today. All of that Fir'aun had built with the use of who? The Bani Israel. So min ali Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them from the people of Fir'aun, from their torture, from their oppression. And besides, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also saved them from the people of Fir'aun. Why? Because يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ. They were afflicting on you the most evil type of torment. يَسُومُونَكُمْ. Yasumuna is from the root letter sin, waw, mim, saum. And saum literally means ar-ra'i. What does ar-ra'i mean? To take animals for grazing. To take animals to a field, to an open space. Why? So that they can graze, they can eat. From the same root is the word sa'ima. Sa'ima. Is anyone named Sa'ima? This name, what does it mean? Ra'iyah. Meaning the one who is a shepherd. The one who looks after, the one who takes care of who? Grazing livestock. And in particular, takes them for what? Grazing. So that they can eat, so that they can feed. The word saum, the first meaning I told you, it is to take animals for pasture. So from this, the word saum is used for pursuing something. To pursue something in order to get it. Similarly, the word saum is also used for imposing a very hard and difficult task upon someone. Have you ever seen animals working in a farm? Not grazing in a very nice green field. No, working. Have you ever seen them? Like for example, an oxen or a bull, a huge animal. What they would do is that in order to grind, like for example wheat or anything like that, they would make a bull walk around the bowl or whatever that it was tied to so that the gears would move, and as a result, the wheat would be crushed as a mill. So they would make bulls walk around. And imagine the bull is walking and walking and walking and walking for hours and hours and hours. Similarly, to get water out, they would do the same thing. Because as the bull would walk, the bucket would fall, and they would set it up in such a way that they would basically work as machines. Have you ever seen small animals like even donkeys carrying a whole lot of stuff on their backs? I remember once I was in Pakistan. We were traveling and we happened to pass by a village, and there was a huge cart that was full of stuff. Full. And there was a donkey right in front of it, and he was trying to pull that cart. It got lifted up into the air. Why? Because that cart behind him was so heavy that he could not walk anymore. Just imagine. That poor donkey was hanging up in the air. Why? Because the weight that it was pulling was too much for it. He cannot carry it anymore. Animals are used, abused. They're made to do a lot of hard work in the heat of the sun, against their will perhaps. يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ. Likewise, you were being treated. You were like their animals, their cattle, their livestock that they abused. And they made you graze on nothing but what? Evil torture. This is all that they made you eat, consume. What? Evil torture.
وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُمْ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ من ربكم عظيم